My dear brothers and sisters, how many nights have you gone to bed with a heavy heart? How many times have your eyes filled with tears while your lips whispered silent prayers that no one else could hear? You smile in front of people, but inside you are exhausted. You worry about your future, your finances, your family, your health, your past mistakes, and the uncertainty of tomorrow. And sometimes you ask yourself, why is this happening to me? Remember this clearly. Worry is human, but trusting Allah is an act of worship. Allah never asked you to carry the burden of the unseen. He only asked you to do your best and leave the rest to Him. The very problem that is making you cry today, Allah already knew about it before you were born. Not only did He know it, but He also prepared its solution long before you raised your hands in dua. You are not informing Allah of your pain. You are being invited to lean on Him. Sometimes Allah allows the heart to break, not to destroy you, but to remove your attachment from people, plans, and expectations, so that your heart attaches only to Him. You see, delays do not mean denial. A closed door does not mean rejection. And silence does not mean Allah is absent. Often Allah is protecting you from things you begged for, because He sees what you cannot see. You ask for ease, but Allah gives you patience. You ask for immediate relief, but Allah gives you strength. You ask for answers, but Allah gives you growth. And one day you will look back and realize, if Allah had given me what I wanted then, it would have broken me. My dear brother, my dear sister, Allah is working even when nothing seems to be changing. The seed grows underground before it breaks the soil. The child forms in the darkness of the womb before seeing the world. And relief is often closest when the test feels unbearable. Do not underestimate the power of your dua. A dua is never wasted. If it is not answered the way you want, it is answered the way you need. Every tear you shed in sincerity is recorded. Every sleepless night is known. Every whispered prayer is heard. Allah is not late. Allah is never early. Allah is always on time. When your heart finally surrenders, when you stop saying, why me? And start saying, I trust you. That is often the moment relief begins to arrive. Sometimes Allah changes the situation. Sometimes He changes the heart. Both are miracles. So stop worrying about what you cannot control. Stop replaying the past. Stop fearing a future that has not arrived. Place your trust where it belongs, because the same Allah who carried you through yesterday is already arranging your tomorrow. And very soon you will smile and say, Allah was solving what I was crying about. Worry is something every human being experiences. It is part of our nature. Now, when the heart feels uncertain, when the future looks unclear, when the weight of responsibilities becomes heavy, the mind begins to race and the heart begins to shake. There is nothing strange about this. Even the strongest believers have moments where fear visits them quietly in the night. But while worry is human, placing trust in Allah is an act of worship. And this is where faith transforms anxiety into peace. Allah did not create us to carry the burden of control, yet worry comes from the illusion that everything depends on us. We begin to think that if we do not overthink, plan obsessively, and stress endlessly, everything will fall apart. This is when the heart forgets who is truly in charge. Trusting Allah is the moment you remind your soul that outcomes are not in your hands. Your duty is effort. The result belongs to Allah alone. When a believer worries, it is often because the heart has temporarily disconnected from this truth. Worry whispers that things will go wrong, that doors will remain closed, that prayers will not be answered. But trust silences those whispers by reminding the heart that Allah has never failed you before. Look back at your life. How many times were you certain something would destroy you, yet Allah carried you through it? How many times did relief arrive from places you never expected? This is not coincidence. This is divine care. Trusting Allah does not mean you stop working or planning. Islam never taught laziness. It taught balance. You tie your camel, but you trust Allah with the journey. You take the steps you can take, and then you release the anxiety of what you cannot control. This release is worship. It is an admission that Allah's wisdom is greater than your fear. It is a declaration that you believe Allah sees what you cannot see. Worry exhausts the heart because it tries to live in the future. Trust brings peace because it lives in the presence of Allah. When you trust Allah, you understand that whatever is written for you will never miss you, and whatever is not written for you will never reach you, no matter how much you chase it. This realization softens the heart. It removes desperation and replaces it with dignity. Sometimes Allah allows worry to enter your heart as a reminder that you are human and He is divine, a reminder that you need Him, not the other way around. When worry brings you closer to Allah, it becomes a blessing rather than a curse. It pushes you to your prayer mat, to sincere du'a, to tears that cleanse the soul. In those moments, trust is born not from ease, but from dependence. True trust is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to rely on Allah despite fear. The heart may still feel heavy, but it chooses surrender over panic. It says, "Oh Allah, I do not understand this test, but I know you do." This statement alone lifts a burden that no solution ever could, because peace does not always come from answers. Sometimes it comes from acceptance. Why? Oh, trust Allah, you stop questioning His timing. You realize that delays are part of His mercy. If something was meant to arrive sooner, it would have. If it was kept away, it was for your protection. Trust teaches the heart patience, and patience strengthens faith. Over time, the believer begins to worry less, not because life becomes easier, but because the heart becomes anchored. Worry makes you feel alone. Trust reminds you that Allah is with you. Worry focuses on loss. Trust focuses on Allah's promise. Worry drains your energy. Trust renews it. This is why trusting Allah is worship. It reshapes the heart, disciplines the soul, and transforms pain into purpose. So when worry visits you, do not hate yourself for it. Acknowledge it, then guide your heart back to trust. Say to yourself, I have done what I can, and Allah will do what is best in that moment. You are not weak, you are worshipping, and Allah never leaves the one who places their trust in Him. What you are crying about today is not hidden from Allah, not for a single moment. Long before the tears rolled down your face, long before your heart felt heavy, long before you even found the words to explain your pain, Allah already knew. This realization alone has the power to calm a restless heart. You are not suffering in isolation, and you are not struggling unnoticed. Your pain was seen before it was felt. Many people think they turn to Allah to inform Him of their problems, but in reality, they turn to Him. Oh, find comfort. Allah does not learn about your hardship when you make du'a. He invites you to call upon Him so that your heart can reconnect with the one who controls all outcomes. The tears you shed are not a sign of weakness, they are a sign of sincerity. And every sincere tear is already accounted for in the divine plan. Sometimes you wonder why the test is so specific, so personal, so painful. It is because Allah knows exactly what touches your heart. He knows what will humble you, what will strengthen you, and what will draw you closer to Him. Nothing about your struggle is random. The exact weight of it, the timing of it, and the way it entered your life were all measured with precision and wisdom. When your heart is overwhelmed, it feels as if the problem has filled your entire world. But in reality, that problem is small compared to the vastness of Allah's knowledge and power. What feels impossible to you is already under Allah's control. The solution exists, even if you cannot see it yet. Just because you are standing in the middle of the storm does not mean the shore does not exist. There are moments when you cry not because of one problem, but because of accumulated pain, silent disappointments, unanswered questions, broken expectations, and unspoken fears come together and overflow as tears. Allah knows each layer of that pain separately. He knows which wound hurts the most, which fear keeps you awake, and which memory you wish you could erase. You do not need to explain it all. He already understands. This is why turning to Allah during hardship is so powerful. You are turning to the one who knew the problem before it appeared and prepared the response before you asked. Sometimes that response is immediate relief. Sometimes it is strength to endure. Sometimes it is a lesson that protects your future. And sometimes it is reward stored for a day when you will need it far more than you need comfort now. There are things you cry over today that in time you will thank Allah for. At the moment, this sounds impossible. Pain makes gratitude feel distant. But when clarity arrives, you will realize that what hurt you also saved you. What broke your heart also corrected your direction. And what made you weep also refined your soul. Allah does not ignore the tears of the believer. Even when people dismiss your pain or tell you to move on, Allah never minimizes your struggle. Every tear that falls in patience and trust carries weight. Sometimes Allah removes the problem. Other times He removes the anxiety surrounding it. Both are forms of mercy and both are answers. Knowing that Allah is aware of your pain changes the way you carry it. You stop feeling abandoned. You stop feeling forgotten. You realize that your story is still being written. The chapter you are in may be painful, but it is not the end. And the author is the most wise. When you feel like breaking down, remind your heart that Allah already knows. He knew before you cried. He knew before you prayed. And He knew before the test even reached you. This knowledge does not make the pain disappear instantly, but it gives it meaning. And pain with meaning is easier to carry. So cry if you need to. Pour your heart out in du'a. Speak to Allah in the language of your tears if words fail you. He understands all of it. And trust that the one who allowed the pain is also the one who will heal it at the perfect time, in the perfect way. Many people believe that when something they desire does not arrive quickly, it means Allah has said no. This thought quietly breaks the heart and plants doubt in the soul. But delays are not denials. They are often a form of divine protection wrapped in patience. What you see as absence may actually be mercy unfolding slowly, exactly as it should. When the heart is desperate, it focuses only on what it wants, not on what it needs. Human vision is limited to the present moment, while Allah sees the entire journey of your life from beginning to end. If Allah were to grant you everything exactly when you asked for it, you might walk into harm without realizing it. So He delays, not to punish, but to shield. There are doors you begged to open that remained firmly closed. At the time it felt unbearable. You questioned your worth, your faith, and even your prayers. But imagine if those doors had opened. Imagine the consequences you were spared from, the pain you never had to endure, the losses that never reached you back. Allah intervened through delay. Protection does not always feel gentle, but it is always precise. Sometimes Allah delays an answer because you are not ready to carry it yet. Not ready emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. What you desire might be good, but receiving it too early could harm you. So Allah prepares you first. He strengthens your patience, deepens your faith, and polishes your character. When the blessing finally arrives, it fits you instead of overwhelming you. Delays also teach the heart reliance. If everything came easily, the soul would forget Allah. Waiting keeps you connected. It keeps you returning to prayer, reflecting, growing, and adjusting your intentions. In the waiting, you learn humility. You learn that control was never yours. And in that realization, faith matures. There are times when Allah delays because what you ask for needs to come in a different form. You ask for something specific, but Allah plans to give you something better. Better for your heart, better for your faith, better for your future. But if He were to give it immediately, you might cling to the lesser version and miss the greater one prepared for you. Delay also separates sincerity from desire. It reveals whether you are attached to the gift or to the giver. When waiting becomes painful, the heart is tested. Do you still trust Allah when the answer is not visible? Do you still worship Him when the reward is delayed? These moments refine the believer and raise the eye. Rank. Think about how many times in life you rushed something and later regretted it. Allah never rushes. His timing is perfect because it is free from emotion, fear, and haste. What feels late to you is always right on time in the divine plan. And what never arrived was never meant to stay. Delays teach gratitude in ways immediate answers never could. When something finally comes after patience, its value increases. You handle it with care. You recognize it as a blessing, not a right. Waiting turns ordinary gifts into sacred ones. Sometimes the delay itself is the gift. It protects you from arrogance, from heedlessness, from forgetting Allah during ease. It keeps your heart soft and your prayers sincere. Without delay, many hearts would harden. So when you are waiting, do not assume rejection. Assume protection. Assume preparation. Assume that Allah is arranging things beyond what you can see. The silence is not abandonment. The delay is not punishment. It is guidance in disguise. One day clarity will arrive. You will understand why it had to take this long, why it had to happen this way, and why Allah withheld what you thought you needed. And when that day comes, your heart will finally be at peace, knowing that the delay saved you in ways you never imagined. There are moments in life when nothing seems to move. You make dua, you try, you wait, and yet everything around you looks exactly the same. the problem is still there, the door is still closed, and the pain still visits your heart. In those moments, the mind begins to whisper that nothing is happening. But just because you cannot see change does not mean Allah is not working. Often, His greatest work happens in silence. Human beings are attached to visible results. We feel comforted when we see progress, signs, and immediate outcomes. But Allah does not limit His work to what the eyes can perceive. He works in ways that unfold gradually, quietly, and perfectly. While you are waiting for the situation to change, Allah may be changing you. And that inner change is often more important than the outer one. Think of how growth happens in creation. A seed placed in the soil shows no sign of life at first. Days pass and nothing seems to happen. But beneath the surface, roots are forming, strength is developing, and direction is being established. If the seed were to emerge too early, it would not survive. In the same way, Allah allows certain matters in your life to remain hidden until they are strong enough to appear. Sometimes Allah is removing obstacles you never knew existed. Sometimes He is aligning people, timing, and circumstances in ways that would not make sense to you if you saw them too early. Sometimes He is protecting you from outcomes you asked for but were not ready to face. All of this happens while you think nothing is changing. There are also times when Allah is testing your consistency. Will you continue to trust Him even when you feel forgotten? Will you remain patient when your prayers seem unanswered? These moments shape the sincerity of your faith. Faith that only survives ease is fragile. Faith that survives silence is strong. Often Allah allows a situation to remain difficult because its purpose has not yet been fulfilled. Perhaps there is a lesson still unfolding, a realization yet to be reached, or a shift in perspective that must occur. Ending the test too soon would cut the growth short. So Allah waits, not out of neglect, but out of wisdom. It is also important to remember that Allah's work is not always about changing circumstances. Sometimes it is about strengthening the heart, so that when circumstances change, they do not break you. He gives you resilience before relief, clarity before comfort, and patience before ease. You may not see it, but Allah is answering your dua in layers. One layer is protection, another is guidance, another is reward, another is spiritual closeness. Not all answers come in the form of what you asked for. Some come in the form of who you become while waiting. There are moments when Allah removes what you thought was essential, only to teach you that you are relying on the wrong support. When that support disappears, you feel lost, but Allah is redirecting your reliance back to Him. And once the heart reconnects to its true source of strength, everything else begins to fall into place. Silence does not mean abandonment. It means Allah is handling the matter in a way that does not require your interference. Your role is not to control the outcome, but to maintain trust. Every time you choose patience over panic, you are participating in Allah's plan. When relief finally comes, it often arrives suddenly. You wonder how things change so quickly when they felt stagnant for so long. But the truth is, the change was happening all along. You just could not see it. So when nothing seems to be moving, do not lose hope. Do not doubt Allah's care. Do not assume your prayers are unheard. Allah is working in ways far beyond your understanding, arranging what is best for you, even in moments of complete silence. Many hearts grow tired, not because they stop praying, but because they expect every dua to return in a form they recognize. When the answer does not look the way they imagined, disappointment quietly settles in. But a dua is never wasted. Not a single word whispered with sincerity ever disappears. Every prayer is received, preserved, and responded to in the most perfect way, even when the response feels silent. Silence does not mean rejection. It means the answer is being delivered differently. Allah's response is not limited to immediate results. Sometimes the answer is delayed, sometimes it is redirected, sometimes it is transformed into protection from harm you never knew was coming. And sometimes it is stored for a moment when you will need it far more than you need relief right now. When you make dua, you are not negotiating with Allah, you are placing your trust in Him. You are acknowledging your weakness and His power. That moment of humility alone is a reward. It softens the heart, increases closeness to Allah, and strengthens faith. Even if the situation remains unchanged, the dua has already changed you. Many people believe an unanswered dua means they did something wrong or that Allah is displeased with them. This thought is a heavy burden. In reality, Allah may love you so much that He chooses a better outcome than the one you ask for. You ask with limited knowledge, Allah answers with complete knowledge. There are du'as that reshape destiny without you ever realizing it. A prayer made in desperation may divert a calamity, delay a loss, or soften a hardship. You may never know what was prevented because Allah answered quietly. The absence of harm is often the loudest answer, even if it feels invisible. Du'a also teaches patience. Waiting after praying trains the heart to trust beyond comfort. It teaches you to rely on Allah's wisdom rather than your urgency. In that waiting, faith deepens. You learn that Allah's silence is not empty, it is full of meaning. Sometimes Allah answers a du'a by giving you strength instead of ease. He gives you endurance instead of escape. This kind of answer does not remove the test, but it removes the fear. And strength gained through reliance on Allah lasts longer than temporary comfort. There are prayers you make today that will bloom years later. You may forget tea, hem, but Allah never does. At a time when you least expect it, relief arrives and you realize it was connected to a du'a you once cried over. Allah's timing links moments across your life in ways only He can. Du'a also keeps the heart alive. It prevents despair. It reminds you that no matter how heavy life becomes, there is always a door open to Allah. When everything else fails, du'a remains. And that alone is a mercy. Sometimes Allah answers by changing your desire. What you once begged for no longer appeals to you. Your heart moves on and peace replaces longing. This is also an answer. It frees you from attachment and redirects you toward what is better for your soul. So never abandon du'a because of silence. Silence is part of the conversation. Trust that Allah hears every word, values every tear, and responds in ways that protect, guide, and elevate you. A du'a made with sincerity never returns empty. There comes a moment in a believer's life when the heart grows tired of struggling against what it cannot control. The mind has exhausted every plan, every worry, every possible outcome. It is in this moment of surrender that something profound happens. Relief often begins not when circumstances change, but when the heart finally submits. Submission does not mean giving up. It means releasing the illusion of control. It is the realization that no amount of worry will rewrite what Allah has decreed, and no amount of fear will prevent what is meant to arrive. When the heart accepts this truth, a weight lifts. The soul breathes again. Many people wait for relief before they submit, but faith works in the opposite direction. Relief follows submission. When the heart stops resisting Allah's decree and starts trusting His wisdom, peace enters quietly. It may not change the situation immediately, but it changes how the situation is carried. Full submission is saying, "Oh Allah, I do not understand this test, but I trust you with it." This statement dissolves inner conflict. The heart no longer battles reality. Instead, it aligns with divine wisdom. And alignment brings tranquility. Often the pain intensifies right before the heart surrenders. This is not coincidence. It is the final stage of letting go. Just as muscles must relax before healing begins, the heart must soften before relief enters. Allah does not force peace upon a resisting heart. He waits for willingness. Submission also brings clarity. When you stop demanding specific outcomes, you begin to see blessings that were hidden behind expectations. You notice protection where you once saw loss. You recognize growth where you once saw delay. This shift in perspective is itself a form of relief. When the heart submits, it stops asking why me and starts asking what is Allah teaching me. This question opens doors to wisdom. It transforms pain into purpose, and purpose gives strength. Submission does not erase grief, it gives it meaning. You still feel, you still cry, you saint, il ache. But the pain no longer controls you. It becomes part of a journey rather than an endless burden. And Allah walks with those who submit to Him. There is also a deep freedom in surrender. When you release your grip on outcomes, fear loses its power. You no longer dread the future because you trust the one who holds it. You no longer replay the past because you believe Allah's plan is unfolding exactly as it should. Many people experience relief the moment they stop begging for control and start asking for closeness to Allah. When the heart prioritizes nearness over outcomes, peace follows naturally, because closeness to Allah is the greatest relief. Submission aligns the heart with acceptance, and acceptance invites divine help. Allah supports the heart that relies on Him fully. He eases what feels heavy and strengthens what feels weak. And sometimes He changes the situation entirely. Once the heart is ready, the most beautiful moments of relief often arrive unexpectedly after surrender. You realize that the storm has passed, or that the storm no longer frightens you. Both are signs of divine mercy. So when your heart feels overwhelmed, do not fight submission. Lean into it. Release your worries into Allah's care. Trust His timing, His wisdom, and His mercy. Because the moment your heart fully submits, relief has already begun. My dear brothers and sisters, as we come to the end of this reminder, remember this one truth that can calm any restless heart. Allah has never lost control, not even for a moment. Every worry you carry, every tear you hide, every prayer you whisper in the quiet of the night is already within His knowledge and care. You may not see the solution yet, but it is being written. You may not feel the relief now, but it is on its way. Allah does not work according to our urgency. He works according to His wisdom. And His wisdom is always perfect, even when it is painful. So do not let worry steal your peace. Do not let delay weaken your faith. Do not let silence make you doubt. What you are crying about today is already being handled by the most merciful. Your job is not to control the outcome, but to trust the one who controls all outcomes. Turn your worry into du'a. Turn your fear into patience. Turn your pain into reliance upon Allah. Because the heart that leans on Allah never collapses, even when life feels heavy. One day, perhaps sooner than you think, Allah will allow you to look back and say, now I understand. You will see how every delay protected you, how every tear purified you, and how every moment of waiting brought you closer to Him. Until that day, hold on. Keep trusting, keep praying, keep believing, because Allah is already solving what you are crying about, and He never fails those who place their trust in Him. May Allah fill our hearts with peace, our lives with barakah, and our worries with certainty in His plan. Ameen.